A young woman wakes at 4 in the morning. It is the most important day of her life, and her first task is milking cows. There will be no limousine, no photographer, no string quartet, no first dance. The average American wedding costs $28,000. Hers will cost almost nothing and involve nearly 500 people. By noon, she will have stood before her entire church district, answered vows in Pennsylvania Dutch, and committed her life to a man she has never kissed in public. By nightfall, she will be expected to share a bed with him in her parents' home, in a spare room upstairs, while her family sleeps down the hall. She has received no education about what will happen in that room. No one has explained it to her. What she knows, she has pieced together from watching animals on the farm and from whispered half-sentences shared by married sisters. This is not a story about abuse. It is not a scandal. It is the ordinary architecture of Amish marriage, courtship designed around restraint, a wedding built for community rather than spectacle, and a wedding night shaped by theology so deep it governs what a woman may know about her own body. This is Alternate Journals, where we document communities that live by systems of belief, tradition, and order outside the modern mainstream. If you are watching this for the first time, subscribe now and turn on notifications. We release new episodes regularly, and the community growing here is for people who want to understand how other societies have organized life around fundamentally different principles. Tonight we are documenting Amish marriage, from the first buggy ride to the wedding night, as carefully as the subject demands. Amish courtship starts in the space between a hymn and a lantern going dark. Every other Sunday evening, young people from several church districts gather in a home or barn for what the Amish call a singing. Boys and girls sit facing each other across a long table and sing. Not the slow hymns of the Ausbund used in worship, but livelier songs, folk tunes, sometimes English-language hymns. The singing lasts until around 10 o'clock at night. Then baked goods appear, conversation opens up, and the room becomes the closest thing the Amish world has to a social mixer. If a young man is interested in a young woman, he offers her a buggy ride home. In more conservative communities, he sends a friend to ask on his behalf, because approaching her directly would be considered forward, lacking the humility the community prizes. If she accepts, they ride together through the dark, talking. That ride is the beginning. Boys typically begin courting around 16, girls are a year or so younger. Marriage comes later. Most Amish couples wed between 20 and 22, and both must be baptized members of the church before a wedding can take place. The courtship is kept remarkably private. Couples do not announce their relationship. Parents may suspect. Siblings may tease. But the formal community does not know until the couple is ready to be known. In some of the most conservative Old Order communities, courtship includes a practice called bundling, an old European tradition carried to America centuries ago. A young man visits the young woman at her home late at night and lies beside her in bed. Both remain fully clothed. In earlier centuries, a wooden board was sometimes placed between them. Premarital sex is strictly forbidden by the Ordnung, but the practice places two young people in extraordinary proximity, in darkness, with no supervision. Some communities abandoned bundling long ago. Others were founded specifically to leave it behind. In the most conservative affiliations, certain Schwarzentreuber groups, it persists. What bundling teaches is a particular kind of intimacy. The couple learns each other's voice, each other's breathing, each other's silences. They learn to be close without crossing the boundary the community has drawn. That boundary will define the wedding night. Two people who have spent months lying side by side, fully clothed, are suddenly expected to cross every line they have been trained to hold. An Amish engagement is one of the best-kept secrets in American community life. The young man does not present a diamond ring. The Amish wear no jewelry of any kind. He may give a practical gift, such as a set of china or a clock. The couple tells their families in summer, and the families tell no one. But the neighbors begin to notice. A mother plants an unusual quantity of celery, hundreds of stalks. Celery will appear everywhere at the wedding, in mason jars on the tables, in the creamed celery served as a traditional side dish, in the casseroles that feed the crowd. A yard suddenly thick with celery is as clear a signal as an engagement announcement in a newspaper. The formal declaration comes at a church service after fall communion. The deacon reads the names of the couples who intend to marry, what the Amish call being published. The groom spends the days before the wedding driving his buggy farm to farm, personally inviting members of the church district. The wedding will be held at the bride's family home, which must prepare to feed between 200 and 600 people. By 6:30 in the morning, helpers arrive. By 8:30, the service begins. The bride wears a new dress, long-sleeved, plain cut, in a color she has chosen. Traditionally blue or purple. More recently, gray and maroon have appeared. Over the dress, she wears a white cape and apron. No veil, no train, no lace. The groom wears his Sunday best, black trousers, white shirt, black hat. The service lasts roughly 3 hours. The congregation sings hymns a cappella, while the bishop takes the couple to a separate room for private counsel about the duties of marriage. The sermon draws from the Old Testament and, in many communities, from the book of Tobit, an apocryphal text about faithfulness and the sacredness of the marriage bond. When the couple returns, the bishop questions them before the congregation. "Will you remain faithful until death separates you?" They answer. The bishop blesses them. A final prayer. No kiss, no applause. Then the room transforms. Women rush to the kitchen. Men rearrange benches into long U-shaped tables. A corner is reserved for the couple, the ECK, the most honored seat. The bride sits to her husband's left, the position she will occupy beside him in the buggy for the rest of their lives. The meal is enormous and almost entirely homemade. Roast chicken and stuffing, mashed potatoes with brown butter gravy, creamed celery, coleslaw, applesauce, fresh baked rolls, and an avalanche of pies and donuts. If you are still watching, you are exactly who this channel exists for. Subscribe if you have not already. Drop a comment telling us what surprised you most, and share this video with someone who would value understanding how a community builds a marriage, not as entertainment, but as a window into a fundamentally different way of organizing life. Now, what happens after the guests leave? What happens in the quiet? There is no honeymoon suite, no hotel reservation, no departure. The couple spends their first night in the bride's parents' home, often a spare bedroom upstairs, sometimes the room where she grew up. Family members are still in the house. The walls are thin. There is no lock on the door. They change into nightclothes, plain cotton, long-sleeved, high-necked. In most homes, there is no electricity. A kerosene lamp is dimmed or extinguished. The room goes dark. What happens next is shaped by an absence that runs deeper than nervousness. The sociologist John Hostetler, in his landmark study, Amish Society, documented what Amish children are not taught. Adults, he wrote, purposely ignore any mention of the subject of sex, especially in the presence of children. There is no formal sex education in Amish schools, which end at the 8th grade. No health class. Church sermons address fornication as sin, but rarely describe marital intimacy beyond the biblical command to be fruitful and multiply. What children learn, they learn informally, from observing animals on the farm, from fragments of conversation with peers, from the silence itself. Clinical psychologist James Cates, who spent years working with Amish communities in Indiana, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, described Amish sexuality as emerging from a singular theological principle, sex as a divine gift reserved for marriage, with procreation as its primary purpose. Within that framework, pleasure is not the objective. Duty is. Consummation is understood as the completion of a covenant, the biblical act of knowing, not as an experience to be explored or enjoyed. For many couples, the wedding night is brief, awkward, and largely silent. Neither partner has experience. Neither has language for what they are feeling. The months of bundling taught them closeness and restraint. The wedding night asks them to abandon the restraint without providing any of the knowledge that might replace it. Some couples find gentleness. Some find confusion. Some wait additional nights, taking the transition slowly. In stricter communities, a period of prayer and reflection before physical union is observed, days or even a week of married abstinence intended to establish spiritual bonding before the body follows. Morning comes early. The cows still need milking. There is wedding cleanup to finish. Life resumes with the same rhythms it held the day before, except that the woman now wears a white head covering instead of black, and the man will begin growing a beard, the only outward signs that everything has changed. The Amish honeymoon has no destination. It has a schedule. For weeks and sometimes months after the wedding, the couple spends their weekends visiting relatives, often 5 or 6 households between Friday evening and Sunday night. At each stop, they are welcomed, fed, and given wedding gifts, dishes, cookware, canned food, tools, quilts. These are not registry items, but necessities for a household that does not yet exist. The couple lives with the bride's parents through the winter. By spring, the community will have helped them establish a home of their own. In most cases, pregnancy will have already arrived or will soon follow. Large families remain the norm. Artificial birth control is officially opposed, though scholars have documented a gradual decline in average family size in some communities, suggesting quiet decisions being made behind closed doors. The community is growing so fast, doubling roughly every 20 years and now numbering over 400,000, that weddings are no longer seasonal events. Karen Johnson Weiner, an authority on Amish community life, found that more than a third of Lancaster County weddings now take place in May and June, a shift tied directly to the transition from farming to small business. Some families attend 4 weddings in a single week during peak season. Marriage is a near constant feature of Amish social life. There is one detail of the Amish wedding that carries more weight than any other, and most people outside the community have never heard it. The white cape and apron the bride wears on her wedding day are carefully folded and stored after the ceremony. It is kept safe, sometimes for decades. It will not be worn again until her funeral. When an Amish woman dies, her family dresses her in white for burial. In many communities, the white cape and apron placed on her body are the same ones she wore the day she was married. The garment that marked the beginning of her life as a wife marks the end of her life entirely. One fabric, 2 occasions, a single arc from covenant to completion. This is what outsiders miss when they reduce Amish marriage to its most awkward or unfamiliar elements. The wedding night is not the point. The white cape is the point. Marriage in the Amish understanding is not a romantic event. It is a structural one. It binds 2 people into a unit that serves the community, raises the next generation, sustains the church, and carries the faith forward. James Cates identified what he called a soft patriarchy operating within Amish marriages. Men hold formal authority as head of household, but women exercise substantial practical power over the home, the children, and the daily decisions that keep a family functioning. The relationship is not the egalitarian partnership that mainstream culture idealizes, but neither is it the rigid subjugation that outside critics sometimes assume. The awkwardness, the the silence, the lack of education are real. The cost to women who receive no preparation for the most intimate dimension of their lives is real. But the system that produces these outcomes also produces marriages that almost never dissolve, families that remain intact across generations, and a community that continues to grow while the institutions around it fracture and decline. Whether the trade-off is acceptable depends entirely on where you stand, inside the fence or out. An Amish marriage begins with a hymn in a barn and ends with a white cape folded into a cedar chest. Between those two moments, decades of milking, planting, raising children, hosting church, and sharing a bed in the dark with someone you chose from a small world of choices, a life is lived, quietly, without spectacle, without any of the language modern culture uses to describe love, intimacy, or partnership. It is not a system designed for individual happiness. It is a system designed for continuity, and continuity, for the Amish, is not a compromise. It is the highest aim. This has been Alternate Journals. We document worlds governed by different assumptions where faith, discipline, and community define daily existence, not for spectacle, for understanding. If this episode shifted something in how you think about marriage, intimacy, or what a community owes its members, do three things right now. Subscribe to this channel, share this video with one person who would find it valuable, and leave a comment about what surprised you most about how the Amish build a marriage. Thank you for watching.